Shalom and welcome once again to the Rashi Nosh. I'm Pastor Matt.
I'm Kara.
We are glad to be back with you. We are in this Torah portion called Vaéra, but we're in this book called Shemot. The book of Exodus in Hebrew is called Shemot, and it means names. And today, we're going to talk about names. You were given a particular name. Your name is Kara, and that is because your father was studying Greek in seminary, correct? Mm-hmm. So what's the story with your name?
My name means joy.
Joy. Mm-hmm. And that is why our oldest daughter, her middle name is Joy. So she's kind of named after you in a way, even though her middle name isn't Kara. But since your name means joy, my given name, my birth name is Matthew. I go by Matt, but my name is Matthew, and that means gift of God. Rabbi Shapira gave me a Hebrew name, Matan, and Matan is kind of related to gift. Natan is gift, but Matan is giving. And so he said to your parents, you were a gift, but you're going to be giving in ministry, and so I give you the name Matan. So that is why sometimes in other circles or in other videos, rather than calling myself Pastor Matt, I'm More Matan, or a teacher who happens to be named Matan. Well, the reason I'm bringing up names is because we're going to talk about some of God's names here, because we have the burning bush incident, and God speaks to Moses in the very beginning of this Torah portion in verse 2 of chapter 6 of Exodus. And God spoke to Moses and said, I am Hashem, and I appeared to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob as El Shaddai, but through my name Hashem, I did not become known to them. Now, this is interesting. So I'm reading out of a Jewish Bible here, a commentary of Rashi. And so when we say the word Hashem, that just simply means the name. Ha, H-A, is the definite article, the, and Shem means name. So Hashem simply means the name. It's a way to say, or it's a way to reference God's name without actually trying to pronounce the name that is used here, which is spelled with a yod, a hey, a vav, and a hey. So sometimes we will substitute for that word the word Adonai, which means my Lord. But here in this translation, it uses Hashem. Now here's what's interesting. This is the first time that this particular name is used in the Bible, the first time that God introduces himself with this name. And what's cool is all of God's names have a meaning behind it that has to do with one of his attributes. Just like your name means joy and my name means gift. So this name of God refers to his attribute of mercy. So, for instance, another one of God's names is Elohim, and that has to do with his aspect of judgment. So another name that's mentioned here is El Shaddai. El Shaddai, and what's interesting is Shaddai from the word Shaddai, which actually means breasts. It is a feminine aspect of God, Shaddai. It's like a nursing mother, like someone who is providing for their child, someone who is nourishing them. So all these different words that are God's names have a different trait that they represent about him. And it's interesting that here God is talking through his aspect of mercy, because he's trying to get Moses to go to Egypt, to go back to Egypt, and to tell Pharaoh to let his people go so that they can go worship him in the wilderness. I think the different names of God are very significant, just as we have names that we, I think, live up to that. I would definitely say that you bring joy to me and our family and everyone. I remember at our wedding, your father saying to me that he prays that you would be as much a joy to me as you have been to him. And I can say that is absolutely true. And that's why I am a gift to you. No, that sounds terrible. No, but we try to live up to our names, right? And I think even in the Bible, we see different people with various names. In the last book of the Bible that we were in the end of Genesis, we learned about Benjamin, who was originally named Ben-Oni, son of my pain, but then his dad said, no, I'm not going to let my son have this name. He's going to be son of my right hand, Benjamin. So I think the same is true with God. And I think in different times in our lives, the Lord works in our lives in these different ways. Can you notice in your life, can you notice when God is working in your life in his attribute of mercy rather than in his attribute of provision or different things? Do you think the Lord maybe let me put it to you this way. Are we glad that God doesn't always come to us like with his attribute of judgment? That sometimes he comes to us with mercy, sometimes with provision. He has all these attributes, and I think he's forever dealing with us in the way that we need in that moment. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. Yeah, I feel like it's only God can do, that it's just always the perfect way, you know what I mean? Just like the perfect parent, like, you know, if you've made a mistake, then, you know, he's merciful. And if you are, you know, desperate for something, then he provides. And that's what we all wish we could be, you know, in our lives, that perfect reaction to what everybody else needs. But yes, I'm very grateful that it's not judgment all the time, because that would not be fun, because obviously we make a lot of mistakes, and so we would get a lot of punishment. But yeah, it does seem like he just is the right thing at the right time every time.
Well, it's interesting the way that you put it like that, because this name that we've lost the way to pronounce it, and the Jewish tradition is that we don't even attempt to, because the Yod and Hey and Vav and Hey that sometimes people try to pronounce, it's one of these things that it is an acrostic for a 72-letter name that I don't know that I'd even attempt to pronounce a word that has 72 letters in it. But anyway, we typically in English translate this word in a different way than Jewish people translate it, because we translate it as I am that I am, which is, you know, the word am is kind of just, it's very present, right? I am that I am. But if we were to really translate this more literally, more correctly, this name really means I will be what I will be. And to me, that goes perfectly along with what you were saying. It's like a parent who is exactly what the child needs in that moment. There are times when a child needs a scolding, and then there are times when a child needs a hug. You know, there are times when God approaches us in a different way. And this speaks to this personal name that he has, that I will be what I will be. He's going to be what we need in every single situation. And I think possibly that needs to be an example to us to be what our children need at the moment, what a friend needs at that moment, what a parent, what someone else in our life needs at that moment. Not every situation is appropriate for every single type of attitude. And I think we need to remember that some situations call for some sensitivity. Some call for some boldness. It just depends. And so that I will be what I will be reminds me of what Paul says when he says that he tries to be all things to all men so that by all means he might win some. I think that's a wonderful way for us to look at that. So I have a challenge for our viewers this week, and that is, before you react to a certain situation, maybe ask yourself, what does the person that you're addressing need in this moment? What do they need most? Not what do you want to get across, because maybe you're frustrated and maybe you want to vent a little bit. But what does the person that you're dealing with need in that moment? Whether that's a child or a friend, a family member, a loved one. What do they need in that moment? And if we are supposed to be imitators of God, then I think we need to imitate this aspect as well, is that we have these different aspects to our personalities depending on the situation. God will be what he will be, and he's exactly what we need in the moment. We should imitate that. I think it's good advice for all of us. So we hope and pray that this lesson has been a blessing to you. If you'd like to subscribe to this channel, I do recommend it. That way you can see all the new videos that we have. Hit that notification bell so that you know when a new video comes out. We are so glad to be with you each and every week, and so we will see you next time for the Rashi Nosh. Once again, I'm Pastor Matt, and this is my lovely wife, Kara. It's our joy to be with you. We will see you next time. Shalom and Kol Tuv. All the best to you and your family.